We are through the budget process. It is July of 2019. What's going on in Anderson County people need to know about? I know one thing we were talking about, you said the flags are all going to be refreshed.
Well, it's just a pet peeve of mine, and it's a pet peeve of a lot of Anderson County citizens when they see an American flag that is not crisp and new and not displayed properly. And have we made mistakes in displaying flags in the past? Yes. But thankfully, there are some very smart people in Anderson County who know flag protocol, and they do not hesitate to call and tell us, which I'm very appreciative of because I've learned a whole lot. But in the past, there has always been an incident or two where a flag wasn't up or it wasn't properly displayed, and it's always on 4th of July because that's when people are paying attention to the flag and for everything that it means to all of us. And I don't mind that a bit. But this year I'd like to be proactive and make sure.
And Anderson County flags are being slowly refreshed as well, right? Those are a
Yes.
little slower to refresh because you have to order them.
We have to order them, but we have a good supply. But we don't need any tattered flags up on the 4th of July, and we need to make sure that we're following every protocol. Because I mean, if you have three flags in a row, there's a protocol on where you put the American flag and where you put the state flag and any other flag. And so one thing you say, that's how that goes here. Well, no, it depends on how those flagpoles are. So I will never become smart, but certainly more knowledgeable.
And with the storms we've had lately, it's a challenge to keep those flags.
Played havoc.
All right, I guess the big thing everybody still talks about, and it even involves the storm, is the Courthouse Square property. Where are we on that?
Still working through that. We have another meeting next week. We are inching towards some resolution. I'm hoping that we will have something going within 6 months. Can't guarantee it, but we hit a bump. We overcome that bump, then another bump. Case in point, we just did additional soil sampling. The soil under that site is rotten. It's no good, so that's going to add to the construction cost. But we have a meeting next week to begin dealing with that situation. So yes, it's still moving, and it's not moving as fast as I would like, but it's still moving.
And the group that's doing this has some vision beyond our Courthouse Square property.
They have a whole vision for downtown Anderson, and as we've talked in the past, they own Groucho's. They are in the process of purchasing some other properties up here, so they're very active. They really like Anderson, and they think that they're coming to Anderson at the right time.
Okay, the budget pass. Are people going to notice anything different?
There was no tax increase in the budget.
Right.
No tax increase in the budget. And as you know, our council is tax averse. And so we've got that done, and I think it's a very good budget. And I think it transfers some of the cost that Anderson County residents have been bearing to the people who are actually using that service. Case in point, we have a great many people from out of town who are doing subdivisions in Anderson County. Well, we've increased the fees, our inspection fees, and what we will do along those lines we're providing a service to you, so you need to pay for that service. And still, we're not going to be the highest priced in the region, but I can assure you we're not going to be the lowest priced in this region. You have to give Councilman Brett Sanders, who really got into the meat of everything and said, hey, let's see what's going on here, so we did that. If you come in and you're going to build 500 houses, old Anderson County tradition, you got a driveway apron. Well, if you're going to build a 500 house subdivision, you're putting the driveway aprons in. But at the same time, that's for that. But at the same time, we will continue if Aunt Betty or Uncle Joe at their house, they want a new driveway apron because theirs is deteriorated, they will get it for free. Or when I say free, their tax dollars will pay for it and they will get the return. So we will not be charging our hometown homegrown people. So I'm very, very happy about that. And again, that's council getting in there, looking at things with fresh eyes, and I think that's going to continue for some time now. Let's look at everything that we're doing, and let's see if we can't do it different or better or for less cost. But it's been a long time. We raised taxes one time in the last 10 years, but then people forget 1 year we reduced taxes. So it's been pretty much even. Tax burden here. I don't like to pay taxes, but I do. Taxes pay my salary, but try not to be a burden to people.
And with the continued growth, the challenges are going to come to provide services for another over 200,000 people all of a sudden.
We just had our last meeting of the year, which is really the first meeting in July, okay? And what were we discussing? One of the interesting topics we discussed today was the morgue. Now, when you're riding down the road and you're thinking about what your county does and what services they provide, you don't think that the county's in the morgue business. But we are in the morgue business in conjunction with ANMED. And so because of the increase in population and to a degree the opioid crisis, we need more morgue space. So we're working with ANMED to add additional morgue space. And so, I mean, that's morbid, but it's something that the county's responsible for and that we have to do. And ANMED's been great about working with us, because I know some counties have their own morgue and their own morgue staff and their own morgue security, and that is a nightmare. And what do counties know about running morgues? Not much. So that's one of the things. You were talking about growth. That's one of the things you don't think about. So.
And people don't get excited about sewers and sewerage and stuff.
No, people don't get excited about sewers, and I've always wanted sewer lines to be placed above ground so that people would appreciate sewers. Because when you bury it, it's gone, and unless you're having a problem, you don't think about it and you don't care about it. But we just concluded a partnership, an agreement for REWA to have the sewer in the Powdersville area of Anderson County. REWA does one thing, and that is sewers, and they do it probably better than anybody else in the country. And so we're going to let them handle that, because, as I said, they're the experts. They're on the cutting edge of green technology. They're big into save the environment. So I think that's going to work out very, very well for the citizens in the northern end of Anderson County and for the rest of us in Anderson County. The days of small sewer systems are over. You can't keep up with the regulations. You can't keep up with the new requirements, because those regulations crank down tighter and tighter and tighter every year. So when that water usually comes out of a wastewater treatment plant, it's cleaner than what went in there. So, and I'm talking about cleaner than when it was raw water in a lake or from God. It's cleaned up so much. So yes, we've concluded that. And
what about our sewer projects out on the Interstate 85?
Still working on those. We have some right-of-way that we still need to put that together. But an interesting wrinkle is we were going to build a wastewater treatment plant on our own. We had been partnering with Pendleton. But while we were doing this, the idea came about. So I wonder if we just stayed in the Pendleton wastewater treatment plant. In the city of Clemson, at least part of the city of Clemson, is starving for sewer. And so I wonder if we get Clemson involved. So we had a meeting with Pendleton, City of Clemson, and us. And it would make much more sense if we all went together and built a wastewater treatment plant together. A, we're not looking for another treatment plant site. B, the site's already there. And there are economies of scale by going together. So we're working through that right now. As a matter of fact, we're going to do a preliminary engineering study to see if that's going to do good. We already have our money for the project. And Clemson, as fast as Clemson's growing, I'm pretty sure, and Pendleton's in good shape. So we're going to be working towards that, which will be environmentally friendly, save money, and allow us to serve even more area. So we're working on that, and we're excited about that. I think that's going to be something good. And if you notice this, I mean, when you think about sewer, we really want to be a clean and environmentally responsible county. And I think these things will do it. And whatever we can reduce from going in rivers, we're all for that. In streams, we're all for that. So we've got that going on. Plus, we're also updating our stormwater rules and regulations. So that's going to take a year for us to do, because you have to look at every parcel of property in Anderson County. And so council's authorized us to do that, and also looked at some ways to finance that. And so that's a big leap for Anderson County. The REWA thing's a big leap for Anderson County. Re-examining everything in Anderson County from top to bottom. It's not zero-based budgeting, but it's as close as you can get without doing that. So
those projects on 85 particularly are going to really open up a new corridor for economic development.
It's going to. I mean, and people are tired of who watch this broadcast me saying that, but they're beating on our door every day. They're building another hotel at Clemson Boulevard and in 85 right now. They're grading the ground for it. They're building another one in Powdersville. There are people running up and down. Why not pack that corridor, that 85 corridor, and let's keep some of our green area green and put as much as we can along that area. And you know, if I leave Honeypath and I drive to 85, it takes me 30 minutes, okay? Average commute time in Anderson County one way is about 30 minutes. And I always enjoyed some time to get there, and I enjoyed the decompression time on the way back. So that's where we're kind of moving on that. Councilman Davis has already had his second meeting up in the northern end of Anderson County, visioning meetings. What would you like to see here? What do you want here? What can we do? What tools are available to do that? He's had two. They've been very well attended, and he's got another series of meetings going on.
That growth area you're talking about, particularly from the city of Anderson north and northwest, that's going to have to be planned growth, or that land's going to be gone in a hurry.
In a hurry. Those old family farms up there that have been in the family for 100 years, well, sometimes when it gets down to the third or fourth generation, and there's a lot of them, and somebody walks in and says, hey, here's all of this money in the United States of America, people say, well, hey, maybe I'm going to take all of this money in the United States of America and move somewhere else. So a lot of pressure going up there. Still the fastest growing area in the upstate. The Pendleton to Anderson area, the meetings we've had this week, we had a meeting this week with a developer, another huge project going into Pendleton, a huge project going into Pendleton. All those houses under construction in Pendleton, I think you're going to see some infill. Thank God Clemson Boulevard up in that area is 4-lane, but I remember when you could, in the middle of the day, drive from Anderson to Pendleton and you might see 2 or 3 cars. And now it's a whole lot more than 2 or 3 cars. In July, Arthrex is going to, they've already hired about 70 people, and they're actually going to be in the building. As a matter of fact, I know some meetings taking place Monday in their new headquarters building out there. They're already talking about building the 3rd building. So that's going well. TTI's going well. First Quality's going well. Sergeant Metal's going well. All of our companies are doing good, and I don't want to get in the habit of just mentioning the big ones, because those smaller ones are just as important to me, because I'd rather have 100 companies with 10 employees, because everybody's not going out of business at the same time. You know, in their Nippon Dentsu project, they closed that. Well, Bosch bought that, and they're filling that up. And all of the employees that were at the French company, most of them have found jobs because they have excellent work records. And I'm glad to see skills, and I'm glad to see our wages in the last 10 years go from around $13 an hour to almost $20 an hour. That's what we want. That's what we want. You to be able to go have a job where you can have one job and you can live well.
And we're getting ready to open a facility that's going to facilitate that and serve all of these companies, big and small, the Anderson Institute of Technology.
And that's going to open up for business next year, and that's going to be huge.
In August, for school year. Yeah, the school year, you mean?
Yeah, school year. But it's going to be huge for our area because nobody else has one. Career Center for District 1 and 2 has always been on the cutting edge. As a matter of fact, Holly just won the award for the best in the state, and we expect Districts 3, 4, and 5 to be just as good as that. And you're going to be able to learn things like aviation skills, firefighting skills, how to go work in a factory, how to do this, how to do that. And I think it's just going to be great, and it's going to put us on the map again. There's so many good things going on in Anderson County, and it's hard for people to realize. Today, at 10 o'clock this morning, we broke ground for our dog park out at our paws at our animal shelter facility. And we've already received $160,000 in donations from that park, $100,000 from the Abney Foundation, which I must say that we have a state-of-the-art animal transport trailer that we use to take for off-site adoptions and for rescue efforts. Well, the Abney Foundation paid for that. And so they've always been big friends of the animal shelter. So we're excited about that.
And Paul's is almost a no-kill shelter. It's a model for everywhere.
Officially, it's a no-kill shelter, but it would be interesting, and I've said this before, we have really helped Pickens County because, you know, they went through that turmoil on what they were going to do with their animal shelter. So our vet, Dr. Sanders, provided a lot of consulting on that. They just built a new shelter in Abbeville County. She was mightily involved in that. You say, well, Rusty, She works for Anderson County. What does that do? What are you doing? Well, I can assure you that in the past, a great many animals from Abbeville ended up at the Anderson County Animal Shelter, and a great many animals from Pickens ended up at the Anderson County Animal Shelter. And she's been trying to guide them to take care of their own. So that's good for us, but it's also good for animal welfare in our region. And so we're excited about that. We just had training, and a lot of our training in the animal shelter we get grants for because of our reputation. And we had customer service training and compassion training, and we try to be the very best there is. We try to be the very best that we can in everything. In some places we have a ways to go.
Well, the one thing she does that I've never heard of as an animal shelter is if they have an owner who's a hoarder or has a problem, she tries to find mental health facilities for the owner as well as taking care of the dogs.
The last 3 cases, and people, and please include me, in the past would automatically say, well, those people are just mean and evil and they treat those animals terrible. The last 3 big incidents, and I'm not going to name them individually, all involved people who had mental health problems. And so instead of going in there and shooting them, we try to, take care of the animals, our first responsibility. But you go tell me another shelter, which you were alluding to, where at the same time we're trying to provide mental health treatment and counseling for the people who were doing that. Nobody else does that. Nobody else does that. And I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. But we're just surrounded by good people who are always thinking.
Kim Davies is a pretty special leader for a place like that.
Oh, she is. I mean, the dedication today, she started crying when talking about her staff. And if you ever go down there in the afternoon when it's slammed and watch them work, they don't treat you that good at a real fancy men's store.
Okay, farmers market's in full swing. Anything new?
Farmers market's in full swing.
Get it downtown at all this year?
I'm trying to get it downtown a couple of times. I would put it downtown permanently, but we have a lot of farmers who say, we like that place, that's my spot, I've been at that spot since it opened. And I can't argue with it because it's slammed every time we open the doors. Well, especially on Saturday.
Changed the rules last year. It's changed everything.
Changed the rules because you can bring things in from 50 miles away. And like we also, last time I checked, we weren't growing any fresh shrimp here in Anderson County, but we make exceptions for that. And a few more crafts and things like that, a little more entertainment. And so, we try to make it an event. And so it's been successful. Sharon Nicometto does the most awesome, outstanding job that you could do running that farmer's market. And that is her farmer's market.
And that's part of our parks thing, which we've expanded the ADA stuff, continuing to work on that. Had a real successful Saluda River Rally.
Yep.
And just opened another ADA.
Over at Equinox, we've got a long ways to go, but what we have there is ADA compliant. Hopefully that we will actually do some work out at Kid Venture the latter part of the summer, at least on paving and doing some things like that, and get closer to putting that additional bathroom out there. Another project we have is we have the Fireman's Monument out there. And I don't know why that Fireman's Monument is there. I don't. Because it is right there with the ducks, and we clean it, and it stays clean for 4 days. So I talked with our chairman of county council, who's a fireman, and he's talked with the chiefs, and I think that they have an agreement that we need to bring that downtown and put it in front of the courthouse where the police memorial is. And so we're working towards that to put a real nice fireman's memorial right here in the heart of the city. So we're working towards that.
Would that be a difficult move to make?
No,
because opposition to it. Everybody wants to do it. It's just getting it done.
Well, we would take the plates and pop them out of the brick and then put them into a new sculpture. And I think we would do something like maybe have 4 sides, and I think we would add the fireman's prayer on one side and give it some height too so people could look at it and see it. So that's not a big thing, but it is a big thing if you're a fireman, especially a big thing if you were a fireman and died while you were fighting a fire.
A lot of people talking about, since you're talking about that area, the Civic Center growth. What's going on at the Civic Center? What can we expect in the
Well, one of the things we were just donated a large parcel of land contiguous to the Civic Center. MLK and Civic Center Boulevard, that corner, which looks like it may be the deepest hole in the history of America. Well, they offered it to us, and since it's contiguous, I want it. Do we have immediate plans for it? No. But one day, after I'm long gone, somebody's going to come up with something that way. And as I've always said, we should never sell a piece of that land. It should be held in trust for the people in Anderson County. But the Big Kid venture, I want to thank the Rotary Club for all the hard work they've done and the money that they've done to help us with that. Another huge donation. And so hopefully that thing's going to be the first ADA playground in the county of Anderson, and we're inviting the city to participate in that with us. And I think it would be good for us to go together and both do that together, because the city participates us to the tune of $100,000 a year for capital upgrades out at the park, and we're greatly appreciative of that. But we're also excited about, the city's plans for their recreation uplift, and we're also inching closer to connecting the East-West Parkway to the Civic Center and to 81. They're actually out getting right-of-way right now, and I think when that happens, and if city completes their in-town trail system, I think that's going to be awesome. Same time, I think if we can get Mr. Jimmy Davis's trail up there in Dolly Cooper Park and at least start in the land that the county owns, a walk-ride trail all through that park, and hopefully one day it could go connect all the way down the river. We're also putting in that ADA handicapped accessible spot in Belton, and we're really looking forward to that, so everybody in that area will be able to enjoy that, and we've got a lot of interest. Thank Duke Energy for a huge contribution that will allow us to do that on that river, so we're happy about that. And the people in Belton are happy about that because we're working hand in glove with them.
What about entertainment at the Civic Center?
Who's coming up next? I believe it's a Christian group, Crowder.
David Crowder.
Which I think is, if it's not sold out, the last time I checked, it was awfully close. Then after that, we have Travis Tritt, and that's pretty close to being sold out. Then we have a rock and soul review coming in there. I haven't checked on the tickets on that. And then we have Celebrate Anderson the Sunday before Labor Day.
Free. Anybody can come here.
Free, and we may have a surprise, but I don't know yet. But if we get one thing to work out, then we'll have a surprise. It could be the biggest one we've ever had. We've got two great entertainers who are coming, and we're going to naturally have the T.L. Hanna Jazz Band, and we're going to try to provide less "Hey, how are you?" and more music. Because when I go there, I don't want to see me saying "Hey" to you. Just bring on the music and let's have a good time. And that's always Anderson County's biggest picnic, and it'll be our 20th anniversary.
And there's like the rock concert the night before, right, with various bands?
Don't know about that. That's maybe and a maybe not.
Okay.
But I think that's going to be a good day. And thank Michelin for being the title sponsor. They give us a huge amount of money to make that possible. Arthrex this year jumped in real big. Can't say enough about Glen Raven Sunbrella. They've been constant supporters forever. And some new companies have jumped in and are helping us with that. But you've got some mainstays who are always there with you. That's going well. And so we've got that coming up.
But council has been working on trying to get more name entertainment out there.
Well, the key thing is they want Anderson to be a music destination. Something to do here. No problem going to Greenville. That's fine. But we want something out of that Civic Center at least once a month, or maybe twice a month. And it doesn't always have to be something big. It could be something smaller. Another thing, hopefully we're getting close to putting that little amphitheater at Green Pond, which we're going to do in-house off-season. So I think that would be good if we could have a little music venue out there right over the lake. So we've got that going on. Continuing to work with Pendleton, work with Honeypath.
Well, one of the things to get to all these places, you got to be on our roads. So you're trying to get plans on that. We got 3 roundabouts planned. We got the state money's beginning to come in from the gas tax.
And on your online newspaper, you have a list of everything that's been done, that is under construction, and that's planned to be done. And so when somebody says, well, we voted for that gas tax, now I don't see it. Well, it's right there, and it's real. And sometimes I wonder, is anybody riding around? Because, I mean, if you go north, you see it, and if you go south, you see it, and if you go west, you see it. So, I mean, it's all happening, and it's just really ratcheting up right now. It's just really getting here. So,
But those roundabouts that are going to be have been well received here so far.
From everybody who hated them and didn't like them and was scared of them, me, they're wonderful. And again, You can't run into somebody. You may bump them in the front, or you may bump them in the back, but it's not this. And that has had a great safety effect, and we're proud of that. And congratulate the state for doing that. We have more coming along, so that's good. So just a lot of stuff going on.
And some people don't like to think about it, but we're about 4 months away from putting up the county Christmas tree again.
Yep.
And has it been electronically fertilized again this year?
Electronic fertilizer has been applied all year, and we're hoping for some growth.
We'll talk more about that as we get a little closer
And I'm pretty sure that fertilizer is working.
And that tree has been a big money saver already.
It's been a big money saver, and it's also been a huge attraction. And as we talk every year, people stop by day and night to have their picture made there. We've had people get married in front of it. And I just think it brings everybody together, because that is the county Christmas tree. It's as much the Christmas tree for people in Ivor as it is for Pendleton, as it is for West Pelzer. And so that's what we celebrate Anderson County.
So next time we get together, we'll be looking at August.
August.